everybody and welcome to Middlesbrough. We're here today to visit Boro Rangers at their new home at the Nicholas Postgate Catholic Academy Trust. The football club was set up back in 2003, so although they're quite young in footballing terms, this club has achieved plenty of success on the pitch. But we're here today to find out about the success off of the pitch.
And success runs deep here for Boro Rangers. The link that they've now got with the Trinity Sixth Form means that as a three-star England football accredited club, they've got a base for the 75 teams that they have and operate, from boys to girls to disability football, and also helps progress the players through the academy with the links to education.
Now this series is focused on the NLS, and Boro Rangers do have a team competing at Step 7 in the Teesside Football League. So without further ado, let's take a little look around at this fantastic home that they call their own. After you, Tom. Thank you very much. In we go. Hello, hello. Thanks for having us today. I'm Charlotte. Nice to meet you. Hi, Charlotte. Lovely to meet
David.
you.
Lovely to meet you. And Joe. Joe. I'm good, thank you.
Hugh, Dave, thank you so much for having us today. It's a real pleasure to come and visit you. First things first, tell us a little bit about your role here and what you do.
Well, my name's Hugh. I'm the CEO of Nicholas Postgate Catholic Academy Trust. I have responsibility for 38 academies across Teesside, through North Yorkshire and into the city of York. And obviously T6, which is the sixth form associated with Trinity Catholic College, is now the host of this wonderful football academy, which is expertly led by our Director of Football, Dave McTiernan.
Yeah, my name's Dave McTiernan. I'm Director of Football here at T6. We have a Year 13 football team. We have a group in Year 12s, and we have a female football team as well. And we've just recruited another 60 for the new ones coming into Year 12. So we've got a clear pathway so far.
So it keeps you busy then, Dave?
Keeps me busy, yeah. Like I said, we've got plenty of staff. We've been going just over 2 years in terms of our recruitment. So we're in our third year, moving into the next September. So yeah, everything's going well. We're growing steadily, should I say.
So are you winning on the pitch here as well with your teams? And we're here specifically to talk about the link with Boro Rangers. Hugh, can you start by telling us how that link came about in that partnership?
Yeah, well, obviously, I believe that all academies and all schools should be in genuine partnership with the community for which they serve. Here on Teesside, we serve a rich and diverse community. We have strong links with the police cadets and the army cadets, and obviously a very strong relationship with Boro Rangers Football Club, who are one of the strongest football clubs in terms of their provision. They have a very secure safeguarding base. They have a rich network of coaches. They have a wonderful ethos and a very clear vision and a commitment to this community. So I believe it was only natural to embrace what they were doing, so hopefully we could work together to even further develop their programme, and more importantly to reach out into our community and say, let's join together, let's work together, and let's make our community a better place.
Dave, it sounds like the partnership is helping you build a lot of success on the football pitch. Off of it, what benefits have there been in terms of the football operations that you've been building here over the last 2 years?
The benefits are huge. The coaching staff, we need to link, so you know it doesn't just impact the players, it impacts the staff and the wider community. We've got staff that embrace and come in on a weekly basis to support us. You know, there's other clubs as well within the area that obviously benefit from it, but yeah, Boro Rangers, they've got a clear vision and you know, impacting the area with the young players. But yeah, off the pitch, it's been a good partnership so far. And like I said, I've known Mark a long time, since he had one team. So we worked together at Middlesbrough. So I do know he's genuine, and you know, he's got the club at heart. And that's something that as soon as we set our vision up at T6, that we want to collaborate with a club that's got a big vision as well, and just the support. And like I said, it's genuine, the partnership, and that's something that we can build on also off the pitch, because we've got the players playing for both really, and it's good that we can interlink with staff and players. So yeah, all good.
And I think we have the facilities that benefit the young people, so there's a clear pathway, so that we've dedicated health and conditioning coaches, obviously our own football coaches, we have our own Michelin chef to ensure that the young people are educated in their nutrition, so that they supplement their diet, that they complement what they're doing on the field as well as off the field. But for us, it's that opportunity to promote Boro Rangers, so that the players who participate within this programme have the opportunity to play Northern League football. Just a few months ago, here in Middlesbrough, Boro Rangers were the first Northern League team to play in Middlesbrough in over 100 years. Like that's a tremendous achievement, and that's down to the dedicated hard work of the vast number of volunteers that make up Boro Rangers. And if we can do anything to complement, to support that, whether it's through match funding, increasing facilities, increasing opportunities, whether it be at the elite level or the participation level, whether it be at the ladies' game, the men's game, whether it be through participation for age groups beyond 50, whatever opportunities we can to make the rich provision as available as we possibly can to this community, then that augurs well for Boro Rangers, augurs well for Teesside.
What you've really got here is that hub, like you say, where you've got the opportunity of provision, regardless of talent, whether you want to play for fun, play for social, and Boro Rangers are providing that. You've got, obviously, part of the education, that pathway and them links through. So those that don't necessarily make it into the professional game still can have a really good career within non-league and hopefully have that link with Boro Rangers. How important is it now for people to have the opportunity alongside getting an education while still enjoying the football at the level they want through a trust like yourselves?
I believe it's so important because the vast bulk of the players who participate in Dave's programme have been told at 16, unfortunately, they haven't met the threshold in respect of further participation in a professional football academy. That is challenging for the young people, and it creates a potential vulnerability for that young person. So this programme affords a safety net or a pathway which gives them exposure to elite games through the National Youth Football League, elite coaching, wonderful opportunities to access A-levels, B-Tech provision. So if they choose to go to university, if they choose to take on an apprenticeship, if they choose to go on to the world of work, they do so well positioned as young adults. Because this programme, yes, it has a wonderful academic pathway and a wonderful football pathway, but it provides the opportunity for the young person to grow and evolve as a wonderful human being, and to, I suppose, shake off that sense of insecurity, possibly, that sense of lack of belief in themselves and their talents that was as a consequence of not being accepted onto the professional pathways. But above all else, let's them embrace who they are, celebrate who they are, and then move forward at 18 as a confident young adult prepared for today's society.
It's fantastic what you're doing, serving your local community, combining football and education, which is really, really important. Hugh, you touched on it earlier, facilities, and for many clubs across the NLS system, finding a facility, finding somewhere to call home is a real challenge. For Boro Rangers, they've done something a little bit outside of the box through this partnership and collaboration. I just wondered what words of encouragement would you give to clubs watching this to not necessarily think the solution for them is building their own 3G or finding a plot of land somewhere. Actually, this kind of partnership can be equally rewarding and successful.
Well, that's exactly correct. Boro Rangers partnership benefits Boro Rangers. Of course it does, because that's what partnerships are about. It's about everyone benefiting. Because Boro Rangers have a state-of-the-art 3G pitch, which is well maintained by ourselves, which is safe and secure, so that the facility will endure for the length of time that's anticipated. And it's that upkeep and that the cost that can have on a soccer or football club is huge in terms of personnel hours, in terms of financial resourcing. So by working in partnership and through match funding, so large multi-academy trusts have the necessary or should have the necessary capital base to match fund so that their students can benefit from their mission to work in partnership with the wider community can be realised, and that football clubs can do what they do best, concentrate on coaching with young people, engaging with young people, engaging in partnerships with parents, but above all else, knowing that the facility is safe, secure, properly maintained, so that it's a win-win for everyone.
Well, Hugh, you're going to give us a fantastic tour of these wonderful facilities in a moment. So Dave, final question is going to come to you. 2 years in, where do you see this going in the next 5 to 10 years?
I just see it growing consistently. We've grew so far. It's about sustaining that growth as well. It's about job opportunities. It's employing more staff. Again, it's linking in with the wider community. It's making sure we're giving more players opportunities. We've had a couple of players going to professional football now first year. We've got some of our female players participating for England. We've won national cups. We've been invited to the World Cup. We're top of leagues at the minute in the national pyramid. So for us, it's about sustaining that growth, but understanding that yes, the success on the pitch is great, but it's what opportunities we can give these young players. So it's, can we get them abroad? Can we get them life experiences so that when they're adults, they come back and they remember everything that we've achieved on and off the pitch.
Well, thanks, Hugh. Thanks, Dave. Some wonderful golden nuggets there. We're going to go take a little look around.
Well, we couldn't pay a visit to Boro Rangers without popping by to see how training unfolds. And I'm delighted to say that I have Mark and Louis alongside me now, both of whom have been involved at the very, very start of this football club. So firstly, introduce yourselves, tell us a bit about your roles here.
So I'm Mark Curtis, founded Boro Rangers back in 2003. Currently the chairman and the secretary and every other role that you want to put under both titles there. So
yeah, I'm Louis Smith. I was club captain for the first ever year, and then obviously went into the management role of team, and then after that I've become generally Mark's dog's body on a day-to-day basis.
So getting involved obviously always helps. Many hands make the roles much lighter. How invaluable is having someone like Louis, that was obviously part of the club as a player, come back and be involved from your perspective, Mark?
Yeah, absolutely massive. I mean, it was only 2 years ago we were still playing in the county league, and there wasn't very many people coming through the gate, obviously, in the level that we were playing at. So as we're climbing through the leagues, we've moved into step 6, we've moved into step 5. There's more and more people coming to watch us, which is great. But with that becomes a lot of stress, certainly on a match day. So having somebody to lean on, somebody to be there, someone to offer support and advice. And obviously Louis is great at each of the roles that we ask him to get involved with. And I think from a football side of things, the fact that he's played the game, like you say, he was our first ever captain. Going back to 2014 for the men's first team. Then he was involved in the management, so there's not really something that's going to go on a match day that Louis doesn't have experience of being
kick
involved
every
in.
ball on a match day as well.
Still wearing the armband as well?
No, just only when I go to bed.
Well, it's a decade's worth of experience, which in the NLS is completely invaluable. And this series is all about putting a bit of a focus on this very special part of the pyramid. It kind of sums it up, the fact that you started as a player, then a manager, and you volunteer and do everything. You were telling us off of camera as well, it's a real family affair. It really extends far and wide. So tell us how special this football club has been and how much the football pyramid has really added value to you and your enjoyment of the game.
Yeah, so obviously starting as a player and then transition over to this, be part of this club, has been really good. My mother's involved in the club, so my son's involved in the club. My mother-in-law's involved in the club. My wife, my family come to watch the club. It's given us great highs, great lows as well at times. It goes week to week with this club. Sometimes we feel really low and then you get a result and you feel really positive. It's been a big learning curve. I think over the past 2 years, I think Mark will agree that we've found a lot of unknowns, and we're still trying to learn and grow and build as a club as well.
Still quite young as a club, Mark. Obviously, you think of clubs in the NLS and the history and heritage that they've got, and you're just coming into it. But what you've also got underneath it is significant youth teams for boys and girls. What does that mean to actually have the first team men playing within the National League, but also all the younger teams and players to feel like a real family-orientated club with the pathway into playing non-league football?
Yeah, I think we hear the word, sustainability used quite a lot now, and getting the children in at 3 years old when the soccer school starts, I think is massive. The club was formed in 2003, and we didn't have a senior team. The first team was an under-7s team. And as we got to about 2011, 2012, we started to lose quite a lot of the teenage players. They were moving to different clubs that had that exit route for senior football. So the first team came along in 2014. So obviously the club was 11 years old when that happened. And it's just great, they've now got something to aim for, something to strive for, something to want to be a part of beyond the teenage years, because the drop-off rate's quite high in teenagers with regards to football as a whole, really. So I think if we can offer them something and give them something to strive to play for, we've now got the pathway right the way through. We offer individual age bands up to under 16. We then have under 18s, 21s, 23s, and now the first team which competes in the NLS. So we cater for everybody, but for those that want to go and play as high as we can possibly offer them in terms of NLS football, we've now got that, and we feel as though it's all coming together at the right time. We've obviously just moved into our new facility late last calendar year. So yeah, it's all coming into place now, and hopefully we can settle at the level that we're at now for a number of years, and then obviously look to kick on in years to come, more the medium and long-term plan for us, really.
A question for you both, because it's really interesting to hear you say that you've been on a learning curve, and you just mentioned there you've moved into your new facility, you almost want to settle a little bit. How much planning and strategic thinking have you done during sort of your time here to make sure that the club is sustainable and has a really bright future to look forward to?
I think the route that we're trying to take as a club is to promote youth, and I think this season alone, I think we've had maybe 6 or 7 from probably the transition from 21s, 23s into the first team. So I think, that's the forward plan and future of the club, bringing kids in and obviously giving them chance and putting a bit of trust in them as well. I think that's massive, that a lot of young lads now, they maybe have a couple of bad games, and a lot of managers or chairmen or whatever would quite like, they're not good enough, and they start bringing players in and not giving the kids a chance. And I think that's a massive part of how we're going to succeed, how we're going to be successful, is by bringing the kids through.
Really invaluable advice. I suppose I would like to ask you from an off-the-pitch sense as well, how that all marries up together.
I think the bottom line is you've got to run it now like a business. So it's very departmental. So we've got a management team in place that oversees the first team. There's 5 senior teams, so we meet the first Monday of every month, for example, with a senior section. I liaise very often with the lad who heads up the soccer school, so he gets them in from 3s and they stay with him till under 8s. So I speak with him probably bi-daily now. We've got somebody else who oversees the women and the girls section within the club, and we meet with him. So from my point of view, in the role that I've got, it's sort of listening to all of them, bringing them all together, and then ensuring that we're all pulling in the same direction. Because I think a lot of clubs are maybe quite separate, the way that they do things, and you see things that go on at other clubs, and maybe one person might pull in a different direction to the rest, and it can cause problems. Whereas with us, because I'm overseeing it all, because it's my job, it seems to work, and we're all pulling in the right direction. And now we find ourselves in a position which is probably, in my opinion, as a positive consequence of doing exactly that, pulling everyone in the same direction, making sure everything's ticking over quite nicely, and never getting complacent. I think yes, things are going really well, but how can we improve, how can we make ourselves better, and we're always open to that as well.
I just want to dive into, you said it's your job there, Mark. Obviously, when did the club sort of make the decision with yourself to turn that into a role, and how do you balance that as your role, working with the other volunteers that give up their time in and around the club?
Yes, like I say, 2003, we had one team. I think as we approached 2010, 2011, I think we were up to 20 teams, and I was a qualified PE teacher at the time, working in a local secondary school. And we were sort of looking at different facilities, and how we could grow the club, how we could move it on. And I just felt it was probably the right time to invest that more time, more effort, more energy into growing the club. And the decision's proved to be the right one, because I think we had maybe 20 teams at the time, and as we stand here today, we've now got 70 junior teams and 5 senior teams. So as a collective, we've gone from one team 21 years ago to 75 teams now. And I think to get it to that level, you need to invest that time. So I think it was the right decision, but also necessary to get us to where we are today, because I feel as though if we didn't, or I didn't invest that time years ago, we wouldn't have been able to be where we are now. But yeah, you're right, as we grow, we need our volunteer workforce to grow as well. So that's probably been one of the biggest areas for development this season, and certainly moving forward we need to get even more. And it's great because a lot of the volunteer workforce for the seniors is actually coming through from the juniors. So Nikki, who was with our under-15s green since they were under-7, she's now come on board as the men's first team secretary. Like I say, we've got Louis on board from the under-9s, we've got James on board, he's with the under-15s and 16s. So yeah, I feel as though we're all sort of pulling together now, and we're getting people who are involved with the juniors who are now giving up the time and volunteering with the seniors as well. So
I think the volunteers we do have as well are quite of a young age, which is quite rare, especially in the Northern League. We go to a lot of grounds, and a lot of the committee men and the volunteers are probably in the 60s, 70s. I think our age group is probably under 25 mark. In terms of our volunteers, it is quite a young group of volunteers. Yeah, not us.
Do you think that is in part because of the philosophy you have when it comes to developing young players, and the fact that you want to develop successful, good footballers, but you also want to develop good people, which is in direct correlation to the school who you have such a good partnership as well? It seems to me a very empowering space if you're a young person. Do you think that holds in good stead for why you're keeping and retaining young volunteers? Because trust me, we visit a lot of clubs in the non-league system, and that is the challenge they've got. They want young people, they just don't know how to attract them.
Yeah, I think potentially a lot of the volunteers come from like players' friends and stuff like that. So I think it is like the ethos of a family club, and I think that brings it all together, and people, you know, go the extra mile for us, because one of the friends are playing or the sons come through the setup, and they know how well looked after they are at the club, and quite lucky being part of this club, yeah.
I think from my end as well, we met with the under-18s parents a couple of weeks ago about putting that extra rung on the ladder to help with the transition from the juniors to the seniors. And one of the key takeaways that we wanted the parents to go away with from that night was Boro Rangers exists for Boro Rangers juniors, not the other way around. I think a lot of clubs have maybe had the senior team first and tried to build underneath it, whereas ours it's totally flipped. We had the juniors, we looked at why we were losing players at a certain age, and just because we didn't have a senior section that to feed into. So ours has been the other way around, and I think that helps as well, you know, because they're involved with us at senior level because they've been involved since they were 3. And you might meet a couple of the players tonight who've been on that journey with us as well. So
the loyalty kind of strengthens the foundation, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we you know, we're quite successful as a junior setup as well, and there's an awful lot of our players that go on to play in academies, but there's an awful lot more that don't. So we've got to make sure that we're catering for them as well, and, you know, giving them the best possible opportunity, that if they don't go in when they're 9 and 10, they may very well go in at 14 and 15. But even if they don't win by 16, 17, we can still offer a really good level of football, you know, to keep them challenged and maybe even move them on further up the pyramid if we can't get there as a club.
So the ambition, obviously, with the first team is to, like you say, settle, but obviously move up the pyramid as well. And you've got a 3 to 4 year plan for this facility here. As part of the club programme, and obviously we're going to mention it as part of this episode, you've had Frank Bell as an FA club consultant. How invaluable is having someone like Frank come in and help support your role and the running and the operations and also the strategic development of the club?
Yeah, absolutely massive. I think I said down at Stafford Rangers a couple of weeks ago, when we first met Frank, we were playing the dog and duck on a Saturday afternoon, and it's just great to be able to tap into that, you know, knowledge that Frank's got, because ultimately he's been there and he's done it with his club. I'm really sort of grateful that they've actually been promoted to Step 4 as well, because now he's telling me what's needed at that next level. So his club is on a 3G pitch like ours is. It's open each night of the week for training like ours is. It's open on a weekend for more than just football like ours is. So it's great to be able to tap into that knowledge base of someone who's actually been there and done that. And the relationship that we've got with him, you know, has allowed me to pick up the phone at probably times that you wouldn't really want people to pick up the phone at any other time. But yeah, you know, just being able to do that, I think we've developed like a friendship from a football point of view, but also away from it as well. You know, we can pick up and we have a chat about other things other than football. So yeah, it's been great, and I think my sort of advice to people out there is just to embrace the help that's out there, because, you know, it is invaluable, and what we've got with Frank is outstanding. But going on these courses and speaking to different clubs from different points, you know, if you take one thing away from each different event that you go to, come the end of the year, you've got a dozen pieces of advice that you can take back to your own club, and, you know, it's great.
Finally, a bit on that note, what one piece of advice would you give to a volunteer from a National League system club watching this, who is perhaps coming to the end of the season, maybe a bit tired, a bit fatigued, looking for some inspiration? What one lesson, one tip would you want to share with them?
I think probably just keep going. You know, we've had a long, hard road to get to this level, and now we're here we fully embrace it and we enjoy it. You know, you will be emotionally, physically tired, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, and when it does come and the success comes, there's no better feeling.
I think I've heard the older managers, the more experienced managers say over the years that you don't get too high when you win and you don't get too low when you lose, and it's exactly that on the field, but I think it's more important off the field as well. We had a couple of failed attempts at trying to get on the NLS to start off with. You know, we were really, really down when we got rejected twice, but then my granny always used to say hindsight's a wonderful thing, and everything happens for a reason, because the twice that we got rejected was the 2 years before COVID hit. We weren't on the NLS at that point, so we didn't really get affected by this, but we speak to a lot of clubs that are in the situation that we are in now that they were back then, and they found it so difficult, and I know a couple of clubs sadly went out of business on the back of it. So, you know, we were absolutely devastated at the time, but looking back, it was probably a blessing in disguise that we didn't, and the fact that we'd waited for so long, when we finally did get promoted, got onto the NLS, we then got promoted again in 12 months' time, so we've gone from step 7 to step 5 in 2 seasons. And I genuinely believe if we'd have went up the first time we'd have applied, we wouldn't have done that. So yeah, don't get too high when you win and get carried away, because it's easily done. But certainly don't get too low when things don't work out, because you know, you just get up and you dust yourself down and you go again.
Louis, Mark, superb bits of advice to finish with there. We're going to go try and find, I think, James to talk to next. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So we've just spoke with Mark and Louis. Obviously we thought Mark was quite a busy guy, but I think we've just met probably the busiest guy, and we're going to try and unpick some of it. So we're now joined by James. So James, tell us, first of all, start with your role over at the T6 Academy, and then tell us what you do here at Boro Rangers.
Yeah, so my role over at T6 is I'm the head coach for the football academy over there. I was appointed just short of two years ago, so we're in our second season now down at T6.
And then here, you say you're working there full time during the day, and then you transition over onto this wonderful 4G facility to the coach of 15s and 16s.
Yeah. So I'm here every night, barring a Monday. So I coach the 15s, 16s, and then I coach all the club. So I'm pretty much here, you know, all week, which I enjoy. Sundays are tied up with Sunday fixtures as well. So my fixtures start, you know, early morning on a Sunday, and I finish about 4 o'clock on a Sunday. But yeah, I love it. I've been with Boro Rangers since we had 2 teams, so I've seen the growth of the club, and it's great to kind of partner with T6 as well and have that relationship where, you know, we share the pitch, and you know, we use the facilities together, and we've got that good relationship in the local area.
Yeah, and you've obviously have seen that significant growth since you was involved when the first 2 teams was here. Obviously 75 youth teams now, yeah. Facility packed out on the night. What's the relationship and the transition been like with the link with the T6 Academy to date?
So the link's been key really. It's been excellent. We've obviously done a lot of recruitment at the T6 Academy for post 16, 16 to 18 year olds. So we've got most of our players, or the elite players outside of academy football from Boro Rangers. I had the 16s last year, so a lot of my group come across to T6 with me. And then other obviously local talented players in the area that I was aware of, and that Dave was aware of, you know, from the T6.
Yeah, and obviously 15s and 16s that you've been coaching out here tonight, they've now got the vision, or they can actually see the team playing at step 5 in the National League. Yeah. How important is that for a player to actually see that within their club and their community there's a team playing at that level that they could potentially progress to?
Yeah, no, it's massive. I think, you know, obviously with me being at the club as long as I have, I've had, you know, several under 16s groups now, and we've never really had that progression for them in terms of the standard where they're at. So most of our 16-year-olds are kind of a borderline academy standard. So, you know, previously we weren't quite there at the standard that these players wanted to go and aspire to get into. I think obviously with the club's development and growth in that senior section, you know, it's a real kind of attractive, appealing, you know, position for the players to aspire to be in.
obviously the professional game's moved on significantly from what it was 5, 10, 15 years ago in terms of how professional and what the players are actually like as athletes now. And obviously with the National League system, that professionalism is almost coming down as well in terms of the opportunities.
Absolutely, yeah.
What would your advice be to players that aren't necessarily going to potentially make it to the top end but could have a really successful non-league career alongside a working career or education?
Yeah, I think it's massive. I think, you know, everyone's focus is on academy football and professional football, which is, you know, it's young boys' dreams and aspirations. However, I do think, you know, the non-league game's the best it's ever been. You know, the opportunities within, you know, the money that can be earned in that level as well, like you say, alongside a job, and just the overall professionalism, you know, going from, you know, training once or twice a week. Teams have got strength and conditioning coaches now. You know, there's a lot more usage of gyms, you know, and all the sports science around it, even at that non-league level, which, you know, is really encouraging. And, you know, I always encourage them to reach for the top, but also highlight what an important level that is to play at if the opportunity comes about.
I think that's a beautiful way it's got to, isn't it? Like you say, you're encouraging your players and doing everything you can to actually get there. But if they don't, it's not the end of their football journey or their career, because it's very much can be seen as a career within the non-league game now.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it just keeps them on that journey. I think with the professionalism in the non-league game being as high as it is now, you know, it's very, very similar really to the lower end professional level. So it does, you know, if they can go in there and succeed and excel, there's always that opportunity for them to come back and play at that, you know, and step up the levels. Most of them, I think, just need that physical gain, which the non-league brings them. And along with the professionalism now, it sets them up nicely to progress into professional football.
And everything you've got going on at the T6 Academy as well, like you say, with the strength and conditioning coaches. We just had a walk around the gym and stuff a bit earlier. There's facilities here now that players of, like I say, 5, 10 or 15 years ago in the non-league circuit wouldn't have got access to that in such an establishment. You'd have had to do it in your own time within a commercial gym or what have you. Yeah. So having that opportunity on your doorstep alongside the club, they must really see the advantages.
Yeah, I think it's massive. I think, you know, young people, you know, we know how, you know, the motivation of young people sometimes can't be there, whether they're tired, whether you know, the workload from college, from school, but to have that, you know, gym built into the programme, you know, where they're given a fixed time and fixed period to go and, you know, work on the strength, is massive.
Well, it's a wonderful thing. We've really enjoyed being here, and I know you've got another session. You've got a parent stepped in for you at the minute, so we best let you get back. But James, thanks ever so much for being on.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Well, we've had some fantastic conversations so far about how this club's set up off the pitch and the links with the trust. But we're now joined by both Joel and Ben, the first team management. What's it like playing at Step 5?
I'll let you answer this first.
I think, I don't know really the right answer is in terms of how we found it is basically your fitness is a lot more, comes more into it. In terms of ability, you get your obviously good teams who are probably a bit too far ahead of you, but the majority of the teams, it's just everyone has spells, and if you take advantage of your spell, then you've got a chance really. You know, you've just got to dig in at times, and you're going to get your own chances, and it's about if you take them, then yeah, you're definitely in the game. I think we've been in every single game that we've played. We haven't really found ourselves to be overawed or like battered, if you like, if that's the right term. But yeah, it's just about, in terms of ability, I think the whole is a bit of a step up, but fitness and organisation definitely is the main things rather than just ability really, I think.
We spoke to your chairman earlier and he told us that you've been the management team here throughout the whole duration, and that fits into the wider ethos of building a sustainable football club. And consistency in the NLS system when it comes to managers isn't always a given thing, but how important has it been for you to be a part of a club that's on a journey and all of you to kind of be in sync with that both on and off the pitch?
I think that's why we've been successful, and I think that's why we're all still here, because we all feel like we want to continue to be a part of it. I started off as a player, and I've flipped in and out of it really during injuries and helped out here and there, and then this season come on board more with the management and things. But I just think promoting people from within and looking for lads from within, you can see all the lads training around us now, these are the future players for our club. And I think that's the way that our club will progress, I think, on the field, is by bringing these young boys through from within rather than looking to the outside.
Often clubs can miss a bit of a trick where the first team don't necessarily train or be within sight of the younger teams, but obviously you've got the first team that's just turning up to train now, and you've still got those players that are probably pushing to be in and around the first team squad. How important is it to have them on the same facility and have that visibility of being able to see the first team for those that want to progress?
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think it's something that we've improved on this year. We have basically what's an adult training night. So as soon as the boys turn 16, they can sign for the adult section and they come and train with the adult section. And the sessions directly before ours, so the ones that are just finishing now, they're the 15-year-olds that are looking on at the 16-year-olds and adults over there, thinking next year that's going to be me, and I want to push myself, I want to get in that first team, I'm good enough to be in that first team. And that's the type of attitude that you want from those young lads, coming to push us, all the older ones, out of the way, I suppose. But yeah, this has been probably the biggest, I would say the biggest success story of our season so far, is getting this training night up and running with everyone in and around it.
It's incredible, and you should find it so kind of inspiring for you as well, and for the volunteers that are here. Anytime I speak to someone, whether they get paid to work in the non-league game or whether they volunteer their time as well, you're asking them, so what do you do here? Yeah. And the list goes on and on and on. I suspect that's exactly the same for you as a management team. Tell us though about the commitment that is required, because this is going out to clubs in the non-league system who will probably be nodding away at a lot of the things that you're saying, but it's quite nice to know that those trials, those tribulations, those strains are kind of shared across the whole football pyramid. So yeah, what does an average week look like?
I think this year's changed, well, the last 2 years changed a little bit from the start. I think going back to the start, which was like not quite jumpers for goalposts, but almost like that, where you just, kits in the, washing your kits, hanging out, missus having a go, hanging them on the washing line, just doing what you can, and just to make it work, really, like you say, is voluntary. Just do it because you enjoy doing it and you're part of it, really. And once you have a little bit of success, and I think that obviously makes you want to go more and more and more, which we've done. But there's about, I'd say, about 5 of us who pretty much, I wouldn't say it's well, it is your life, I suppose. Obviously, you've got your family life and work, etc. But apart from that, just do everything you can to make it work, and whatever needs doing, you just do, because if you didn't enjoy doing it, you wouldn't do it, really. So that's the main thing. Everyone just buys into it, and yeah, I think it's a bit cheesy, but it makes you proud to feel that, really. Like you said, 10 years in now. Sometimes it's hard, don't get me wrong, but like anything, isn't it? And you just got to dig in when you need to, and yeah, that's it, really.
And the club itself, obviously you get a real community feel. Everyone that we spoke to has got family and stuff involved. You said you've got sons yourselves that are playing in the junior teams, and you've got them coming through the younger academy and stuff like that. What if on the pitch you stopped being as successful, because you've won the league every year up to date, but maybe some losses start to come, some draws, and you start to finish mid-table? Would that change your outlook as a management team whatsoever, or is it more about the sustainability of the clubs and giving kids the opportunity, and obviously still, I ain't saying you'll still be around in the first team, but at the time your kids come through, but having longevity in mind, is that critical to you?
Yeah, and I think the key to our longevity is the kids that are coming through, and the young starting from that young age, right at the bottom, and their ambition, hopefully, to go on to play for Middlesbrough or Hartlepool or someone local that's in the league. But if not, and that's not going to be their level, come and play for our adult section and have that as your aim. I want to play for their first team when I'm older, and that's the type of ethos that we want within the club, that kids want to come and they want to end up here, they want to be playing for the team over there that's training now, and I think that's key to the longevity. I think that's the only way clubs like us, I suppose, in the non-league system, I think, can survive over a period of time, rather than just being there for a couple of seasons and then not there anymore.
A final question from me. If you could rewind back to 10 years ago when you started doing the coaching, started doing the management side, what one piece of advice would you give to that younger self?
For me, it would be patience and probably trust younger lads a little bit more. We've always had a good core of older lads, and we've probably lost some younger lads along the way. We maybe haven't been as good at using them as what we are now. We've probably been a little bit worried. The pressure's probably always been on us to win a league or to try and get promoted, but now we find ourselves in a position that we can hopefully sustain. I suppose bringing those younger lads through is probably a little bit easier, so I would probably say trust in the youth a little bit more from an earlier point, I would say.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think once we had that little bit of success with first time win the league or everything, and we wanted it again and again. Obviously the aim after a couple of years was to be promoted to step 6, and it took a little bit longer. So maybe, as Joel said, we did lose a couple of younger lads who we quite thought, are we risking them being put in? Are they going to find it tough? And then you find out a year down the line that they've went, which is brilliant, they've went 3 steps above and obviously have been successful, which is great, but maybe just to trust in that as well. And I think for me is maybe not take everything a bit to heart as much, really. You know, the thing about us, we were a group of mates, really, and it is still like that, but it becomes a little bit more difficult as you're their manager. You've got to make the decisions, and you feel like you're letting them down, and then there might be an argument or a discussion, and then you get annoyed, and there might be the odd fallout. And I think that's, for me, if I'm looking back now, I think maybe try not to take everything to heart, understand why people can be. Obviously, it's emotional games, well, football, isn't it? And yeah, just try and explain or discuss things without letting it get too far.
Can I get a trial tonight? Is that possible?
You have to wear your boots in
I'm
here.
his agent, I'll negotiate the terms. But guys, thank you so much for your honesty as well, because I think for a lot of people, knowing about the journey and hearing what it's like realistically, and even then you candidly like talking about what you'd learned from, I think it's going to help everyone watching. So thank you very much. Whilst Tom's negotiating his contract, we'll let you crack on with training as well, but thank you so much. Cheers, thank you.
See you later. Bye.
Well, that's full time here at Boro Rangers. What a fantastic episode, talking about sustainability off the pitch through to developing players on the pitch. We've had everything in the mix.
It's been brilliant to see a partnership come into life here and a different approach about how a club can be run in the NLS system. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you to all of our guests. And don't forget, this is one of a series of episodes focused on this very special part of the football pyramid. Next time, we're paying a trip to Horsham FC, and we hope that you can join us then.